what's playing in the background is an instrument, an Indian instrument called a tanpura. It's it creates a drone, as you can hear, and it underlines kirtans, underlines sitar music. It underlies a lot of music in India, this continuous drone sound, and I happen to love it. You know, when the kirtan that I go to here, when the music stops and the kirtan stops, the underlying drone sound continues on, and there's something so peaceful about it. There's something so, it just brings me into the formless. It brings me into the realm of truth, the realm of an underlying, unchanging reality. And this is something that we call the formless. There's one way that we describe it, the formless. And most of the time where our attention is drawn to form, isn't it? It's drawn to form. Our thoughts are also forms. They're thought forms. So our mind is drawn to form, and our attention goes to form. Our feelings are a form of form as well. And of course, everything that we see, hear, taste, touch is a form of form. So our attention is always on form, and we miss something that's much more subtle than form, which is the formless. The formless, the unchanging realm of the formless, and our sense of pure beingness, or pure awareness, or pure consciousness. We could say that this is the formless. And I often say, I can't describe it. I can't talk about the formless, really, even though we're doing a satsang about the formless. There isn't really much that we can say about the formless, or anything that we can say about the formless, because in order to say something about it, we would have to use a thought form. We would have to use a language form. We would have to use a form to describe something that's formless, and that cannot be done. So we cannot access the formless through our mind, because our mind is of form. We cannot access the formless through form, although we can use form to point to the formless, as I do in a lot of my art and my paintings, and now some of the photography that I've been showing. It is also a pointing to the formless. It's pointing to the formless, but it itself is form. It's not the formless, but it can point to the formless. Many of you may have seen the old ancient Chinese paintings and scroll work of the mountains surrounded in clouds. This is a very common theme in China. They have very high mountains, and fog surrounds them and obscures parts of them. So many paintings were done to depict this. And I've always been fascinated with this myself. It's whenever I see, up here in Sedona, we have these beautiful red rocks around, and on days when it's raining and as night is falling, the clouds can come down over the rocks and surround the rocks and sort of enshroud the rocks in this great mystery. It's so beautiful to see this, because it points to the formless. It points to something more than form. Here the rocks are form, and the clouds are also form. But they point to an understanding that inside us we all know that there is this formless here too. That underlying everything is this formless nature, which cannot be described through form. It can be pointed to. All spiritual teaching is only using form to point to the formless, to something beyond form and before form. This entire universe is form, and yet it comes from formless, and it has never left formless. Formless is here throughout the universe, throughout all matter, throughout all form. There is the formless. And so in religious teaching, sometimes we refer to this as God. In Buddhism, we refer to this as Dharma, the underlying truth of everything. But it's not a bad way to think of it as formless, because it is formless. It is before form, and yet all form is made of it. All form contains it, and the formless contains all form. So in a way, you cannot separate form from formlessness, but because our attention is so attracted to form, so riveted on form, that we miss this formless nature of existence, formless nature of you. We get stuck in form and addicted to form and attached to form, and so we miss the underlying fundamental reality, which is formless. It's only by letting go of form that we can experience something so subtle, our true nature, our beingness, which is formless. Formless doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists, but not as form, before form. And I love this, the drone of the tempora, because somehow it reminds me of this, my formless nature, my true being. Perhaps it does for you as well. It's very simple. Music has pitches and dynamics and all kinds of other things, the form of music. A lot of different things to pay attention to, get interested in and excited by. Whereas the tempora, the drone, it doesn't do that. It just keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. There's nothing to attract our attention to it specifically. So it encourages us to let go of form. In a way, it's like listening to silence. Silence is also formless. It's not even the absence of sound, it's formless itself. And that is our nature. That is our true fundamental nature and the true fundamental nature of all existence. So when we speak of non-duality, it means we experience the formless nature of all existence. Our formless nature and the formless nature of all existence is the same. We cannot see it the way we see form. We cannot say, oh, your formless nature is different than my formless nature. That would make no sense. We cannot understand formlessness in a way that our thoughts understand, because those are forms. And formless is before form, before thought, before matter, before the universe of form, but not before the universe of formlessness. The potential for form to exist comes from formlessness. And as form exists, it has never left its formless nature. Nothing can or ever has. So part of our awakening is returning to this, our true being of formlessness. And this way we don't have to work and struggle to let go and try to find our true nature, because we're doing all of this through form, through our thoughts and our beliefs, which are form. And yet the formless nature has always been here. It cannot be other than this. We cannot be other than this. So when we deeply experience our formless nature, often in meditation and samadhi, in Kensho and Satori, and different words, different thought forms for describing what it's like to let go of form to such a degree that we experience the formless. We experience our true nature, and the true nature of all existence. And this is non-duality. To experience formlessness is to experience non-duality, because when we experience formlessness for the first time, which is always here, but when our attention lets go of form to the point that we can directly experience what's behind all of this, our formless nature, the formless nature of existence. When we deeply experience this, it completely transforms our perception of form. We never again see form as just form, but we see the formless nature of form as well. And when we let go of this separate self, we will never let go of the separate self to nothing, or some abstract concept. We let go because we experience our formless nature, our all-pervading formless nature, our boundless, limitless, formless nature. And that so outshines and overwhelms any sense of a separate I, a separate person as a form, as a body-mind. It so outshines this, it so overwhelms this, that we're no longer attached to that anymore. Something so small as a individual person, a body-mind, a form with a story, which is also form. A form with a form story. Me and my life, me and my history. Instead, we realize our true nature, our formless true nature, our limitless, infinite nature, which is formless. This is why all words do not describe it. Infinite doesn't describe it. Formless doesn't describe it. These are words. So all we can do with these words is point to something in the hopes that you will have this direct experience of your true nature. I don't really know why this drone has such a powerful effect on me, and perhaps on you as well. Or I'm not even sure how much you can hear of it. But for me, it has a way of clearing all thoughts out. Not that I pay too much attention to thoughts at all, ever. But perchance some would arise to my attention. This takes care of that and sort of sweeps them away and allows the formless nature to come fully forward, fully be present, as it always is, but it allows my attention to rest on it without distractions. So in formlessness, there is truly nothing to say about it. It's beyond form, beyond thought. So we don't need to understand it through thought, because we can't. So let go of your desire to understand. The beingness, the isness of your true nature is enough. It does not have to be understood. It cannot be understood. So let go of that and just be. Allow it to be, without the interference of your thoughts, your understanding, or your knowledge, or your knowing. Let it be beyond all of that, because it is. Give up control, because you actually never had any, nor do you need any. The formless nature of reality is taking care of everything perfectly, and it always has. Your formless nature and the formless nature of all existence are not separate. They are one and the same. To deeply feel this, don't worry about your thoughts. Don't try to get rid of them or remove them or resist them. Just let them go. Just don't give them your attention. That's all. Not by trying. Instead, focus on this sound. You might say this drone is neutral. It's not up or down, it's not exciting or not exciting, it's not exciting or boring, it's not anything, it's not inside or outside. It's the middle way. Whatever thoughts arise or come up, it's fine. They're just thoughts. They're not important. Let them go. Let your attention fall away from them. And if you like, you can use this sound, this drone sound, the tempura sound, this continuous repeating sound, as an anchor, if you will. Something to help you not let your thoughts distract you. Something else to put your attention on besides thought. It's good for that. This is why we do chanting or mantra practice or focusing on the breath, so that we're putting our attention on something other than thought for a change. And when our attention is no longer on thought, we find ourselves in a state of beingness. Not relying on thought, just pure being. And in this pure being, our formless nature emerges, arises. We can finally experience this. I was looking for some music that would be in a way like silence, point to formlessness, use form, and this drone, the tempura, is form, and yet it can point to the formlessness, whereas even the most peaceful Zen music is not quite as subtle as this. There are some distractions, like the Japanese flute, which is beautiful and meditative and has moments of space and silence in between, but still there's a quality to it. There's a meaning to it, you know? It's sort of mournful at times, or the pitch can go higher or lower, and all of this is a distraction. So I searched for a week or so, listening to all kinds of music, meditation music, Zen music, Indian music, trying to find something that would elicit this. And it wasn't until I just remembered that in between the kirtan, in between the chanting, there's this great quiet, and this tempura is behind it all the time. So I asked my friend Nitesh, that leads the chanting, that leads the kirtans here, and if he would make an MP3, a copy of this. And he did. That's what this is. You're listening to this. This is what is in, this is in the key of C. He has many different keys. This is in the key of C. And he was curious. No one had ever asked him for this. The chants, yes, he has MP3s and CDs of the kirtans and the chantings, but never just of the kind of the bed underneath all of it. But that's what I wanted. Something without distractions, without nuances, without little subtle things to listen to, just neutral. Perhaps you can see the value of this, the meditative value of this. I'm glad you like it, Peter. Yeah. You can actually get MP3s of this, not Nitesh's, but on Amazon, tempura is the instrument, and there's a couple of MP3s that go for an hour where they just continuously play, usually in C. It doesn't matter what key it's in. It makes no difference at all. For the purpose of meditation, for the purpose of attracting your attention away from thought. Something to move your attention away from thought. The sound of a fountain can do this as well. You know, because in our lives there's many sounds, traffic sounds and bird sounds and all kinds of different sounds. And the sound of our own thoughts. Distractions. This is putting our attention on form to such a degree that we miss the subtlety of the formless nature of life, of the underlying fundamental reality of all existence. We miss this. And this is exactly what we wake up to. The fundamental nature of reality, of all existence, which is formless. Since it's the fundamental nature of all reality, it's the fundamental nature of us too, right? We're not separate from reality. Our imagination of a form, of a separate person, is not real. This fundamental nature is what we are. And simply why meditation is so important, because meditation, true meditation, even though for many it takes years to reach a state of meditation, even if they meditate every day. And some, the very first time they sit down to meditate, reach this state completely free of thought. But this is what meditation is. To be in this state without distraction from thought at all, without distraction from the sense of a person, which is thought, without distraction from form. It's being in this formless state. Body and mind fall away. The world falls away. And there's just this formless nature everywhere. That's meditation. And in meditation, in this direct experience of our formless nature, the realization of this permeates our life, permeates our existence, so that it grows, sort of saturates into our awareness, our consciousness. So that eventually it becomes, our attention on it is so strong that it outshines our conditioned thoughts, our conditioning, our programming. Not by any effort on our part at all. Just being in this state of our formless nature. That does everything by itself. The more we saturate in this, the more we open to this and just permeate in it, soak in it, the more it transforms us. All it's doing is removing the conditioning that we've had from the moment when we learned our first word. And even before, we're conditioned in the womb by our mother's conditioning. And nothing is separate. So we're absorbing their energy and thoughts and feelings even before we know a single word. It's already begun before we're even born. And then it continues throughout our life, this conditioning. So when we're in our state, in our formless state of true being, our true nature, it's free of all that conditioning. And so the conditioning doesn't have any hooks here, doesn't have any attractors. We're free, as we truly always have been, but we realize this freedom. Consciously, we're free. And the more we saturate in this, the more this permeates us, and our awareness is able to fully be on the formless nature of existence and not just on form. We become free. We're transformed by this effortlessly. We return home, you might say.